licensing and whatever, like, it's actually went in a different direction than I thought. it comes for the planning commission.
Special thanks to Jim for all his years of service. I was about to make the joke that you guys gave it to him and didn't get us another one, so.
That didn't happen, no.
Okay.
I don't think he wanted a gavel for his years of service.
They do have legs and walk off, though. I've ordered 3 of them since I've been here.
Oh, wow.
All right, joking aside, I call the Planning Commission meeting for April 7th, 2025, starting at 4:30 to order. This is a hybrid meeting. All right. Do we have any additions to the posted agenda?
No.
Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes? 5?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, moving on to public comments. Again, public comments are to be for anything that is not currently on the agenda. If you are making public comments about something that's on the agenda, which is going to be Mount Nittany Health Temporary Use Permit and a presentation on short-term housing rental regulations. Otherwise, this is your time to make a statement.
Hello, my name is Elliot Killian. I reside in Ferguson Township. I'm briefly going to talk about R4 housing.
Can you speak up just a little bit?
Yeah. Center County is the largest area in the state that is growing. We are currently growing more than Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. The need for housing will only increase, will only continue to increase. The Pennsylvania State University, or Penn State, is currently in the process of closing Commonwealth campuses. This likely means more students and faculty in our community. Every year, costs go up, and the municipality has three options to address the increase in operational costs: increase taxes, decrease services, or increase tax-paying residents. A municipality that does not grow will either have to increase taxes and/or reduce services. For younger Americans, there's a growing frustration towards the older generations. I'm a millennial, and for many Gen Z, they believe that they will never be able to afford a house. Never. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine it being a young person and believing you'll never be able to afford a house? They are sad and angry at the lack of affordable housing. A common obstacle to affordable housing is not my backyard, or NIMBY. I believe NIMBY is a human reaction. When people have fear over change and they have political will, they'll use that political will to stop change. We must overcome NIMBY and the NIMBY reaction and build more housing for the future. There's no silver bullet to the werewolf monster of unaffordable housing. There's many solutions, and we should seek many solutions. This includes accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, changing commercial zoning to mixed use, and of course R4. I created a report on the R4 for Patton Township. Comparing the R3 zone to R4 zone, these are the following suggestions I included in that report that I created. 1, increase maximum heights from 3 floors to 5 floors. Increase impervious coverage and building coverage, allowing for modern stormwater technology. Reducing parking requirements and incentivize public transportation, allow for more accessory uses to reduce the need for personal vehicles, and create simple, easy-to-follow rules that apply to all lot sizes. Parking requirements cause more land to go to parking than living spaces. This reduces the number of housing units per acre and increases housing costs. A question you might have is, where would you put this R4 zone if you adopted it? It's a good question. What I recommend is that you would upzone all R3 zone to R4. And then once you've done that, consider other housing zoning to upzone into R4. As a planning commission, you serve a vital role in shaping the future of the township. You have the responsibility and opportunity to recommend policies that help us meet the moment. Adopting R4 is not just a technical fix, it's a meaningful step towards affordable housing. Let's not wait for the problem to get worse, let's be proactive. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for serving local government.
Thank you for your comments. Now, before you get off on running away from the podium, does anybody here have any questions for our esteemed?
Two thoughts. One is, where is this report you're referring to?
Sure.
Something we have here?
I don't have.
You'll be discussing it in your May meeting. It's on my website, elliotkillian.com, ELLIOTTKILLIAN.com. You can find the reports
Oh, yeah,
page.
you'll get that at the May meeting. I'm
Yes,
sorry. I
the
was
May
dealing with
meeting.
technical issues.
I went to Board of Supervisors, and they have sent it to you, so you'll be reviewing it. I wanted to be proactive tonight and sort of give my thoughts.
Thank you. And just tangential to what you said, it isn't really explicitly relevant, but with regard to enrollment at Penn State, isn't that regulated and limited by the state legislature?
I don't know.
Penn State can just increase.
I don't know that it's regulated by the state.
No?
No, they're not a state school, so they're state-related, and I don't know that it's regulated by the state of Pennsylvania.
Penn
I just
State,
thought their admission, or their students on campus was limited.
I think it's limited by space on campus. Because for years, I don't mean to jump into what Elliot's saying, but for years, I found this out recently, there was a handshake agreement between the developers downtown and the university that the university would not add more student housing on campus, which would push people off campus into off-campus housing. And now the university is finally starting to add some on-campus housing for the first time in a long time.
Thank you.
the thing I would add is, it seems that the Penn State enrollment increases every year.
Right, it does.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Elliot. Going back to the handshake agreement, there's a lot of handshake agreements that were made with Penn State that seem to have gone out the window in the last couple of years. So I wouldn't be surprised if more changes are going to be coming.
Yeah, and their administration has said they want to grow the enrollment by a certain figure, so.
Yeah, and that's going to be, and and for everybody at home, when you grow enrollment, you have to grow your staff numbers. So that's going to be auxiliary staff, that's going to be secretaries, that's going to be janitors, that's going to be people just keeping, everything working, like OPM, office, Anyways, but that also is professors, as we've talked about. Penn State's starting wage for a professor is qualifies for what would you say there for?
So I wouldn't want to go into that conversation now. I would move on.
Okay, well, anyways, as we've had many discussions on it, and this is something that we are aware of, and I look forward to actually seeing the report and moving forward with it. Are there any other public comments? Hearing none, we're going to the Mount Nittany temporary use permit request. Does somebody want to lead us on this?
So Mount Nittany Health has submitted their second request for a temporary use permit. This time, this is for an employees-only event at their facility located at 164 Greenview Drive. The event will take place on Tuesday, May 13th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The event does propose 5 tents, one measuring 20 by 50 and 4 measuring 10 by 10 that are going to be used for check-in and in games for the employees. The event is also going to offer 5 food trucks and a porta potty that will be provided during the event for the food truck vendors only. Employees will be using the restroom facilities within the building. As the event is being held during daylight hours, there's no additional lighting proposed. Trash bins will be placed throughout the area for the event, and there will also be 4 signs placed at the perimeter of the event space noting that it is for Mount Nittany employees only, and that the food trucks and the activities are not open to the public. Upon review, township staff recommends approval with the conditions that all licenses are required by the state and/or State College Borough Health Department, as well as providing a hand washing station for the porta potty for the food truck vendors.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Do I have anybody that would like to make a motion to approve this?
I'll also move.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye. 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 All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, matter is approved, and with the, I assume with the comments that were made by staff, so we approve it with the comments made by staff. All right, moving on. Let's get to short-term rental housing regulations. Who is going to present this for us?
Yep, okay, so, at the Planning Commission meeting on March 3rd, we reviewed the short-term rental housing regulations. The commission reached consensus to move forward with the development of a rental housing ordinance. This ordinance would incorporate a points-based system applicable to properties found in violation of township ordinances. To support this effort, Walt Schneider, the Director of the Center Region Code Administration, is present to give us an overview of the current property maintenance code and identify the modifications needed to implement the proposed ordinance and point system for Patton Township.
Walt, you have the floor.
Good afternoon. I'm Walt Schneider. I'm the Director for the Center Region Code Administration and your building code official. In working with the manager as well as with zoning and the planners, it was relayed to me that the concept was to move the duration of rental to 1 day, and the second is to implement a point system that would allow the township to be able to track violations that would degrade the habitability around the rental property. So for example, somebody putting trash in the yard, not maintaining the grass, having other violations where we have somebody there who is not following the rules and regulations of the township. Currently in the Center Region Rental Housing and Building Safety Code, as adopted by the township, the duration of rental is currently at 7 days. And the township actually currently has a point system in place, but does not administer it at this point. My recommendation after meeting with staff was that I believe to meet what the intent of the township's desires are, that we could make some minor modifications to the adoption of the Center Region Rental Housing and Building Safety Code. One, to move the duration of rental to 1 day, where it would require permits, and then to make modifications to what is currently in Chapter 8, which is the point system, just to make sure that the township ordinances are properly identified, because currently the only municipality who's actively administering that point system is the Borough State College, and make sure that there are no pointing to their ordinances versus the townships. We can have that in place for you to be able to review in your May meeting to make sure that what we've put in as far as a draft would meet the intent and desire of the Planning Commission as well as the supervisors.
Okay. I believe everybody here agrees to the 1 day. In fact, I believe even the public that we had here, not speaking for the public that was here, but they all agreed to moving to 1 day. So I think we're all on board with that. And then definitely we all are are definitely in line for some sort of modification to Section 8 since we have it. The only question that I have, and I broach this cautiously, is if we already have Section 8 for rentals, are we going to extend that to all current rentals as well?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments, questions, concerns? Things that they would like to see potentially in the revised Section 8? And it was Section 8, correct?
It's Chapter 8.
Chapter 8.
Chapter 8, excuse me.
So Chapter 8 right now, just to give you a very, very brief overview, basically it breaks down offenses based on severity. If the severity is low, it's a 1-point offense. If it's a medium severity, it's a 2-point. The greater severity is a 3-point. The only thing that exceeds the 3-point is there is a 5-point for renting without a permit. And it also then, situation based on how many points you garner, you can't garner more than 3 points in a 24-hour period. And once you've reached 5 points, then the owner of the property is directed to the manager to work out a, for lack of a better way to put it, a system to try and keep that property from continuing to garner points. So we're trying to be proactive. And at 10 points, then we move into the revocation of the rental housing permit for a period of time.
Okay, so we would have, so you have various ones, 1, 3, 5. The only one that you said that was the most extreme was renting without a permit. That would be an automatic 5. I'm looking to staff what are your thoughts on if somebody has a rental permit but doesn't have the short-term rental permits through
So
Patton?
we're not differentiating between the short-term and the long-term. It's just a rental permit through the code office. And we did talk about, because right now, on that application for a permit, it says if you're in college or Ferguson, it's a short-term or a long-term. So we just want to add that so we can just collect the data so we know how many short-terms we have in Patton Township.
Okay.
So this applies to every rental, be it long or short, and people that have a rental housing permit now obviously are okay because they have a rental housing permit.
Okay. Correct. So, all right.
And just one thing on the effective date, we had discussed this last time. We talked in our staff meeting that rather than saying everybody has to have a permit by August 1st, we would make the ordinance effective within 5 days. That's typically when they go into effect. And then within the date of that effectiveness, everybody has to start getting their permits so that there's not one hard fast, and the code office is good. They'll work with folks as long as they're applying and getting that permit. So everybody's not going to be running into Walt's office on August 1st trying to get their permits before football season.
So we'll have an effective date, hopefully sooner rather than later, and then the drop-dead date for the permits would be?
There wouldn't be a drop-dead date. It would just be as soon as the ordinance is adopted, it takes effect 5 days later, and then you have to start implementing and getting your permits.
So people could essentially be getting permits if this goes into effect August 1st, and someone wants it next year.
Right.
You're saying this is just how it is now.
Right.
From August 1st forward.
Right.
How are we going to notify the rental people that are in business now?
So I think what we're going to have to do is talk about doing a push to get notifications out through social media, through reaching out to Airbnb, reaching out to VRBO, reaching out to some of the other companies to let them know. I know that I have friends elsewhere in the state that rent out their property, and I know that I think Airbnb usually checks to see if you need to have a permit or you have whatever you have in place. So we'll have to make a push to try to get that out ourselves. And also, again, just from the township side, just making a push to get that out to folks.
In addition, we've done this in multiple other municipalities where the time frame has tightened up. And so we've been able to do that through a combination of, notifications, be it by mail, by email in some cases, if we have email lists. We let property managers know so they are aware. So we've been very successful. And then at that point in time, if we hear about one or have questions regarding one, we send out what we call a 20-day letter, and that just notifies them that, look, you've got 20 days to apply for your permit and get into the process.
And just for clarification, Walt, there is no difference. I think a lot of people are getting hung up on the short term and the long term, but if I come and I'm wanting a short-term rental, someone is going to come out and inspect it. It's a rental housing permit. The short and long-term aspect isn't changing how you're inspecting it or any of that. It's more
Correct.
just the data that we're collecting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But the fees are the same, the points are the same, how you expect it to be done is the same.
Identical.
Okay, got it.
I also have a question. If it's August 1st, I understand it's August 1st, can they do it before August 1st, and would that carry over in past the August 1st deadline?
Well,
So yes, because of the fact that Patton Township has a rental housing ordinance in place today, somebody could literally come in today, get a rental housing permit. Again, as Kristen had indicated, it's going to be no different on duration of rental.
Okay.
What we're doing is changing the number of days that you're allowed to rent for down to 1. And so if you want to be proactive about it, you could apply tomorrow for a rental housing permit, and at that point in time, we could start the process.
Yeah, I think in the other, like Ferguson and the other municipalities that have already adopted that, you just check mark at the bottom. It's the same application, you just mark
Correct.
if it's short or long. So.
Correct.
And we can have that, we can have the check mark put on, I'm just asking, can it be put on tomorrow so that we're not losing that data?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
people wanted to
Yes.
start applying
I
soon.
think we can work with the code office on that.
Yep.
Okay.
And the whole idea behind that check mark is just because we don't have an idea of how many short-term rentals we have. So we want to figure that out. And I will say that the state of Pennsylvania, the local government commission, just like 2 days ago, released the report on short-term rentals in the state, and they're actually proposing more stringent restrictions, which shocked me. I thought they'd go the other direction, but there needs to be legislation authored and all kinds of things before that would go into play. So this is our way of just starting to gather the data and see if we have any issues here that need to be further addressed.
And if somebody isn't sure if they want short-term or long-term, are they going to just check both?
So in our side of things, it's a default that you're getting the long-term. If you check the short-term, that's a way of collecting data. Again, it's not going to change anything on our point. So if they check that they're going to do a short-term, again, it's just a data collection point at this point. One of the also things that we'll be able to do, because a requirement exists for every rental owner to have an active email address. So once you have a rental permit, we'll be able to reach out later also and be able to do, for example, we can solicit an easy poll saying, are you doing short-term or long-term rentals, what the duration of your rental is, those kinds of things for the municipality.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good. What actions do you need from us?
If you're okay with the proposed path forward, Walt's going to work on the draft ordinance. We can bring that to you in May to look at, and then we would take it to the supervisors after.
Okay, last round of questions, comments, or thoughts? All right. We look forward to seeing it. We look forward to it. We are happy with the process.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Walt. All right, is there any other business?
Fast meeting.
Does staff have any other business for us or any training, since I see Mr. Tilka here?
You all will have received an email from me today outlining 4 training opportunities. Feel free to attend none, one, or all of them. And there are 2 dinners provided with certain training, so if you take a look at it, snacks at the other ones. So we've invited all of your peer municipal planning commissioners and the other 5 municipalities in the county planning commission.
Excellent.
Yep.
Any questions for Mr. Tilka on those trainings? Nope, okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Everybody vote with your rear ends. If you want to get out of here, stand up. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you. And Daniel, you'll be at...